Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Since we can't seem to get out of winter and we need to get ready for spring, which is probably going to show up in about 15 minutes, we need to start doing some stuff to get the garden ready. So we need to get some seeds started. We don't have a house, we don't have a greenhouse, so we're trying to make some space where we can control the environment a little bit. All we're doing is taking some scrap tin, screwing it to the front of the deck here because the deck's temporary anyway, and going to use some visqueen or plastic to provide a little bit of a growing tunnel or small greenhouse environment to get these started. Just using scrap and junk to make something happen.
I like how you still have the snow shovel out.
It's because there's still friggin' snow.
I know. Okay, so we've had first winter, second winter, false spring,
Yeah. And
snowpocalypse,
sleet apocalypse, and pretty soon we're gonna have
thunder sleet,
yeah,
thunder sleet, or what Olivia called
death sleet.
Death sleet. Hello, Poppy. And we're about to have the pollinating.
Yes, the pollinating, exactly.
Your favorite
My favorite season.
Arkansas season.
I wish we could go from winter straight to
Go on.
summer and
Go on.
skip the pollinating.
I just watch you work hard most of the time.
Yeah. There's something to be said for stupid entertainment.
You do make me laugh.
Yeah, well. That's hard. It's harder if you're stupid.
Can we just put the bait right there just to hold those back on themselves?
No, I'm gonna go into that post
Oh.
down there at the bottom, but I need to put these two pieces so they'll kind of stay together. We have a long enough drill into a self-tapping screw. Oh.
I need to go check and see if the daffodils are
Blooming.
Yeah. Well, you saw buds.
Yeah. So all I want to do is just keep the wind from flapping this out.
Well, and we may discover we can't stand it because it's just out here making noise.
Yeah, well, yeah. put anything in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a superstructure.
No, but I don't want the dang thing, like you said, flapping around. Alright, so that ought to stay down for the most part.
It's just temporary.
Yeah.
For my indoor starter seeds.
Yep. We'll get this dang house built. We may be living in these freaking tents over here.
Well, now, where are we gonna get the rocks
I don't know.
to hold this
Might
down?
have to go to town and buy some.
I think we can probably just go right over there. Or right up there. Or right over there.
Or over there, over there, over there.
Let's go find some rocks, puppy. Come on. Hello, folks. We're going to try and go ahead and get started with putting out some seeds for my indoor planting, but we're actually going to have it outside because we're living in our RV right now, waiting to start building our dream home. So we're going to do some prep in here, move some of that outside, and also prep for doing some direct sowing into our garden when that comes, when it comes time for that, because we are past, we hope, most of the snow. It's supposed to be warm coming up this week, and that means that stuff is just gonna start blooming and sprouting like crazy. So we order our seeds from Baker Creek. It's a heirloom seed company, and they're up in Mansfield, Missouri, which is about an hour-ish, maybe 45 minutes from here. They print out this beautiful catalog that you can get for free. All of their seeds are non-GMO. Some of them are very rare. They grow them locally and have local growers. They also have growers across the United States and the world. And we got this catalog right after Christmas Day. So I started flipping through the pages, folding down pages, got my seed order together, got that ordered, and this package arrived not too long after that. I've been waiting to open it up and show you what I got. I have had really good luck with most of their seeds being directly sown into the ground, but we are going to do a few starters. So this is what I ordered from them. My weeding tool ended up, the tip broke off of the handle, so I have ordered one of theirs. And this seems like it's going to be a really nice angle to dig and get some of the weeds out of the garden. So we'll see how that works when the time comes. And then I did order some planting stakes so I can identify what I have planted. And then these are all the different seeds that I have, that some I'm going to start indoors / outdoors, and some I'm going to just direct sow. Now, I end up fighting the seeds whenever I'm direct sowing, especially the little bitty ones, which are the carrots and the lettuce and the celery. They have teeny tiny seeds that will blow away. So I'm going to do a do-it-yourself seed tape, and then we're just going to lay those in the ground later. But these are all the lovely seed varieties that I got from them. They're packaged beautifully. They're non-GMO. Many of them are heirloom varieties. And if you want to take a look at their website, we can put a link to it. They're on Facebook, Instagram. They have a farm that you can actually go to, see demonstrations, tour the farm. We love getting our seeds from there. We have toured their farm before. It's really nice. The first thing that I'm going to do is make up some paper containers, because I didn't buy the whole tray system. All I did was I bought the drainage tray and then the base tray and then the cover, because I don't like fighting with the teeny tiny trays trying to poke this plant out once you get it going. So I, a long time ago, looked up a way that you could just use this origami fold to make your own little trays that you can then just plant directly into the ground. So I'm going to show you how to make a few of those, because I have a few hundred to do. All I'm doing is using recycled paper. You can just start out with a regular piece of paper. You fold it in half, go in both directions. Make sure the opening is facing away from you, and you're going to do like a paper airplane fold. From this side, you're going to pull this top piece over and fold it down like you're making one of those old-fashioned hats or paper boats. You go ahead and turn this over. You bring your edge to the middle on this side, your edge to the middle on this side. And just to pre-crease it, you can bring this triangle point up right there. It will help later when you are opening this up. So now you flip it back over, fold that piece down. While it's still on this side, this extra flap that you didn't fold down before, you're going to fold down, stick your finger in, open this up, and this triangle part right here is going to want to fold over. So I've got my fingers in here holding it open. You fold that little triangle flap down, and you've got your little planter that you can just put directly into the ground once your seedling grows to the height that you want. So again, scrap piece of paper. This is just copy paper. You can use newspaper. Fold over again. Make sure the opening's facing away from you. Paper airplane fold. Fold down the top. Flip it over. Edges to the middle. Fold that flap over. Crease here just so it opens up better. Slip your fingers in. Start opening it up. This triangle crease wants to start forming. And you can just fold it over just like that. It goes pretty quick once you know what you're doing. Of course, they don't have to be perfect because they will just disintegrate in the ground. I will make several of those, and instead of using the individual trays, I can just move these around wherever I want. If you need a little stiffer bottom, you can double your paper. All right, so I've got several of those to make. I will do those off camera at a later time. Another thing that I am making is homemade seed tape strips, because the little bitty teeny tiny seeds like celery, carrot, and lettuce tend to get away from you whenever you're trying to plant them out in the field. And so I have already made a few of some of the smaller seeds, so I'll just show you real quick what they look like. And I've done a little bit of labeling on there. These are just toilet paper strips that you've put a little dot of homemade glue on, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. And I've just made several of these strips, labeled them, and then I just roll them up together like this. And then whenever we're ready to direct seed or direct sow into our soil, I can just unroll these, throw a little bit of dirt on top because some of these are sensitive to how much dirt you put on top of them when you're planting them. And water it. Maybe cover them with some cardboard to get them to sprout, and then you're ready to go. So the way that I made this was I just had some leftover rye flour that we hadn't been using up very well lately, and I was afraid it was going to start getting rancid. So they show you this on YouTube videos. You can look it up yourself, but I have always found that instead of mixing it up in a bowl and then taking a Q-tip and spacing them out, I just mixed this up in a baggie, and you just cut the tip off, and that way you can just squirt out however much you need to roll along for placing your seed on there. So I have just used toilet paper just because it's easier to measure off and work with. I've just been going with however much I can get on my countertop here. So this is just mixed to the consistency of a little bit thicker than pancake batter. And I just dumped my dry flour in there, put water in there until I got the mixture I want. Mush it up till it's where you want it to be. I put a little tie up at the top. And now I'm just going to, whatever my spacing is for my seeds, I'm just going to put out a little drop close to the edge because I'm going to be folding this over. And I'm just doing this real quick for y'all. This might not be the spacing that I ultimately want. Let's do these carrots. Carrots are a little bit finicky when you plant them. They do need quite a bit of moisture. But they are teeny tiny, and I tend to end up fighting the wind because, of course, you know, the wind's not blowing whenever you're just doing something. So this helps control how many you put out. So I'm just trying to drop 1 or 2 onto the glue. Sometimes one doesn't always sprout. Plus, I think you're supposed to plant 1 for the animals, 1 for the wind, 1 for you. And then just take your toilet paper, fold it over. I've just been dabbing it down so that it sticks. I'll label that with the variety that it is. Let me know it's the Heirloom Seeds. And then since we have such a small space in here, I just took a hanger and I'm hanging it up in front of our fireplace and letting it dry. So you can see here I've already got several tapes that are ready to go later, and we'll just put them in the ground. The toilet paper disintegrates, and you just put a little bit of dirt over it, and it'll start sprouting pretty quickly. I'm also right now soaking some asparagus seeds. I didn't get any crowns to put out, so we're going to try this. This is some seeds that were left over from last year. So I'm going to soak these for 24 hours and then wrap them probably in some paper or paper towel. Let them sprout inside and then put them into maybe a paper container. And then once they get big enough, go ahead and put them out in the garden. So now I'm going to get busy finishing my paper containers and finishing my paper tape, and we'll meet you back outside when I'm ready to put those out. Here's our little mini greenhouse set up. We pulled out the plastic to start it soaking up some sun. I'll probably soak some seeds tonight to get them to germinate and put out in the little paper cups that we made, and maybe bring those out here tomorrow. That's the plan. Papa, you're in trouble. You got all muddy. Well, today might be game day for putting out our seedlings. The daffodils are blooming, the birds are singing, and we have a little break in the weather. So I'm going to start by mixing up some soil to go ahead and plant our seedlings. We've already got our paper that we folded, little baskets in there, and we're going to maybe do some tomatoes, possibly a little bit of asparagus because I think my asparagus has sprouted since the last time I talked to you, and some onions. And what we're going to be using is 2-2-in-1. So we're going to use 2 parts peat moss, 2 parts soil compost, and 1 part perlite or vermiculite. So we're going to start mixing that up and get this thing going. I already have 1 bucket in here because this stuff started to just spring right out of this. It's a little bit dry. This is the peat moss. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in first and then wet it down, because this doesn't play well with others whenever it's super dry like this. So we're going to put a little bit of moisture in it before we put the rest of the mixture in. It doesn't matter what container you use as long as you're consistent with your measuring. So that's 2 parts peat moss, and I'm going to stir some water in with it. Kind of get it a little bit moist so it doesn't just soak up into the peat moss and not want to mix with the other components. We're supposed to get another load of rain in a couple days. So I'm going to try and get these under our little greenhouse tent before it becomes a flood. All right, now maybe it'll mix in with the rest of the stuff. We'll see. Smells good. I'll try and pick out any of the sticks and big chunks, because sometimes when your seed germinates, it can't move past that. So we'll try to make sure to pick out the big chunks as we put them into our paper containers. So now we're doing our 1 part. We got perlite.
If you have any questions about what we're doing in this video or any of our videos, please leave a comment down in the comment section, because I work pretty hard at trying to answer any questions people have or address comments people have on our videos. And if you
about enough for
are enjoying the content and want to support the channel, by all means, hit that like button and subscribe and share with your friends. The more people that we can get to like our videos, the more people YouTube shows them to, and it helps us grow this channel. So I just want to tell you thanks for watching. I know that people take time out of their day to come and look at what we're doing during ours, and we really appreciate it that you watch our videos. So thank you.
All right, that seems pretty fluffy. So we'll go with that. This is our deck we built in another video. Seems like a long time ago. If you want to go back and watch that video, it should be in the video feed, so that's available to you. We'll need to put another coat on it of boiled linseed oil and what was it he used? Turpentine. All right, start filling it. Really thin paper, so I'm gonna just fill these without taking them out, because I'm afraid if I try to fill them, they're gonna just squish. I always try and think of the real pioneers that were out here, that it was maybe just 2 people. You might have kids, you might not have kids, and they didn't have all these modern conveniences and tools that we have, like tractors, and they might have had a mule or an ox. They didn't have these plastic trays. They had to break the virgin dirt with their hands, and of course their lifespan wasn't as long as ours, but we might complain about the hard work we have to do, but it's sure not what our ancestors had to do, even to include my grandma, who raised cattle out here on her own for a little while. And yeah, it's we think we've got it hard, but really we don't. All right, so I am going to pick the seeds that I am going to put out in these trays, and I think I might do 2 in the corners, so we might be able to get a little bit more. I'm just getting them up far enough that we can harden them off and then put them in the garden. Like I said before, we have purchased many of our seeds, not all of them, but many of our seeds from Baker Creek. So what I did with my tomatoes was soaked them a little bit, so that way they'll go ahead and break through the skin of the seed itself, or the shell, and we're gonna go ahead and put those in there. Probably do some onions, and then what I've got here is asparagus. It might be a little too late to actually put these out, but if you take a look there, some of them have started to sprout. You can see the little shoot starting to pop through on some of them. So I might leave those for a little bit longer before I put those out, but definitely tomatoes are going out, and some onions, maybe a few other miscellaneous things. So I'm gonna have to make some decisions and start poking them in. Here's some of the variety that I'm gonna be using. I'm trying to use mostly heirloom, non-GMO, natural, so I can gather the seeds from year to year. So we've got some heirloom onions. These are from Baker Creek. These are from Fairy Morse, and then I've got a shallot here, and I've already labeled, got my little labels here, and we're doing Blue Beauty, Martino's Roma, a Mortgage Lifter, and Amish Paste, because I can. And so we want some for sauces, some for just canning, some for eating, and some for saving seeds. And I'll put these away before they blow away. So I tried to put out as many as I'm going to do as seed starters, and we're gonna do 2 per section, so we're gonna try that. You can see here some of them have already started to sprout. And pay attention which corner I put them in. Not that it's too bad that you double up somewhere, because sometimes seeds don't germinate. They just don't want to be cooperative. But since these are heirloom seeds, I also don't want to waste any. I'll probably set that out to dry and we'll reuse them for something else. I'm going to put MR on all those. Not that that will survive. Uh-oh. But it'll help me keep track. Amish paste, I did a little bit more, so I might go this direction with them. Did the opposite of what I said I was going to do. So I switched them out. Had a few extras, so we'll just put those in the middle. They'll be bonus. I got all those. Yep, he said some bad words and he's coming back. That probably means something's broke. Now these mortgage lifters, I didn't see any little sprouts on those. Maybe be a little longer germination time.
Always something.
Always something.
Broke the pin off. And of course, it's a bastard size.
Always something. These have sprouted. I'd lost that one. I think that's it rolled up on its edge there. Right now in these times, every one of these is kind of precious to me. Gonna start some, and then we're gonna direct sow some. All right, both those rows are Amish paste. Both those rows are mortgage lifter. All right, well, I'm gonna wrap it up with you all today. We're just gonna finish planting the rest of these, maybe fill a few more, and put them in our makeshift greenhouse garden site and see if we can get something. It's supposed to come a flood, so we're gonna hunker down for that.
It's been about 3 weeks since those seeds were planted. We've had some cold weather, and the ground temperature outside our little temporary greenhouse structure is showing 36.8 degrees. Inside, we got 48.7 in the trays. The back wall with no sun on it at all today is showing 40. And you can see how the seed starts have started coming up. And the grass is really liking inside that warm area. So these are the asparagus that my wife planted, and then the different types of tomatoes and the onions and stuff. So it's coming up pretty good, even though it's been unseasonably cool this year.